So I'm going to be showing today how to fix partial lag, or lag in general, in No Man's Sky. For people who play it, I made a live stream a long time ago about how to fix it, and it was like a 1-hour live stream, but I didn't speak through it because I don't like speaking on live streams because, you know, things happen. But anyways, with the whole video aspect, explaining it's not too hard. The issue that lag comes from the fact that this game runs on numbers for everything. So you gotta remember that with No Man's Sky. For the people that play this game runs on a lot of numbers. So when you're building a base, if you want to reduce lag, reduce it, then you should make your base a proximity censored, where you use your proximity sensors to activate your base when you're in the location. I loaded into a very old save that would crash my game. As you can see, it's already being stuttery. It'll catch up with itself in a second. I'm gonna give it a second. So I never could fix it. After the one update happened, my base got permanently broken on this save, so that's kind of why I quit this save. But yeah, this was honestly one of the coolest bases I ever built in this game. It was honestly one of the first attempt to ever make a sky base in this game. So I got my player log off room here, which is still running, thank God. I'm supposed to have doors here, which are all missing. All the lights are broken throughout the whole base because they're all connected to one another, which is probably a bad idea. So it's something to avoid. Don't make your lights where all of them in the base run off the same circuit. And what I mean by the same circuit is, so you can do this. This is one method. This is dividing your circuits. You use a wall circuit to literally shut down the base in each portion for each sector. And that's how you kind of want to do it. You want to make it where like it shuts down each portion. So like since I shut those all off, the doors are now offline, the lights would theoretically be off. So that's where one flaw is with it, because when the update happened, my lighting system got severely broken. That's awesome. That tells you how broken this, how old this save is. So, like, it's got everything. Like, this base was meant to be a base for anything and everything, but it sort of started malfunctioning due to lag. And then the update came out to optimize the game, and then they broke all the connections, updated, and they broke the connections. See, like, now they're on. So you're just like, I hate this game. Huh. But yeah, it's so I'm just going to show y'all how much battery power I'm pulling. So right now it's currently at a discharge rate of 355 being used, but if everything was on, it would be at a discharge rate of 1,000. And then with everything on, it adds all the circuits together. I have it where the circuits divide up. So the way you want to do this is, so I'm going to load into another save, and I will see y'all there. Okay, so we are back now. We're currently at 80%, 90%. So what I'm going to show you is a rough example on how to keep your grids completely separate. And you can still wire everything up how you want to wire it. Just keep the mandatory grids separate. Don't worry about this monstrosity here. Monstrosity wiring that I was working on. So this is creative. Creative is very like easygoing, very simplistic. You have everything in the game you could ever want and ever have. I'm a little upset that they removed this from survival. I don't know why they removed concrete from survival, but if the devs should add it back, I think. Anyways, everything that I do here is free because it's creative. I do real quick. So let's go get a battery. We'll put a battery there, and we'll put a battery there. Now I'm just throwing these down for, you know, example. You don't have to just do this at your base. There'd be no reason to. You would want to make everything neat. And when you want to make things neat and making a good base, follow the edge of your base as best as you can, because then you'll be able to make your base look more professional. Instead of making your base more scattered on the outside, you also can go below the planet too. So it's something people forget about. So let's say this here's grid 1. Okay, this here's grid 1. Let's say this is grid 2. Let's say grid 2 is off all the time, unless us players come to the distance. So you could wire this up by connecting this to that powered one, and then you could connect that to that, and that would power that. But when we leave the zone, it would unpower it, leaving it neutral, so it would no longer have power. But the problem with doing that is it will only charge when you have that on. So to solve that, you would have to hook up another power solar panel to the battery, which would be your second grid. So now in terms, yes, these are connected now, but when you walk away from it, they will separate. We just disconnect that. There's no reason for having that. So see, I'm on this side. See, it's 50, right? So now I stand in the center. Now it's 100. So I put the two grids together when I'm nearby, and then when I leave, it separates them. So what you could do by doing this, you could also set another one, let's say, and you could have these proximity sensors anywhere. You can have them under your base, on top of your base, outside your base. They don't have to be in the base, just for people who don't know. So let's say this one here was gonna run lights, and since this one here is, you know, theoretically a separate grid, you could connect this one to like all your more powerful items in the game, like your let's just go with an example of, I don't know, hydroponics. Let's say you're doing hydroponics. Those are 20 per, okay? So if this is connected there, when I'm standing nearby, it will be parasitically dragging from this one to and this one. But when I leave, it will no longer be dragging from that one. It will only be dragging from that one. So now there are uses for this, and there are, you know, tedious uses. So I'm going to show you like a good use, cheap, simplistic use. For instance, so let's say I'm just going to remove all this. I'm going to reset the grid. So we're just going to have it like that again. So now everything's separate. So let's say these were two separate rooms. Okay. So this here's its own room, and this here's its own room. Okay. You could have it where each of them, let's say if you make the rooms symmetrical, and what I mean by symmetrical is like you make them the same count and same width and same length as the room next to it. So what you're doing is you're making sure your lighting is the same number tick as the room next to it. So let's say you have lights. I mean, I know this is, but like if you have lights, okay, in your base. You don't have to do it like that. You can actually put those in the roof of the concrete or the base material, and it would look better. And then let's say you had this, I don't know, on top of your base. That's fine, it will still work. Connect it. Then when you're in the proximity, your lights will be on. When you leave the proximity, they turn off. So that's another way to save power for your base. Now, there are ups and downsides to that. One, proximity sensors only go to a certain range. So if you had a large room, you did this, let's say, with a structured room that was, I don't know, as big as that whole area there. Let's say like instead of 4 of those there, let's say 10 of those long and 10 of those that way, which would be like 24 of them in total, so on and so forth. Anyways, the point in that is when you make a large room, if you do the whole proximity thing, you'll have to do it in what is called as diagonal fashioning your storage containers. Now, for even the newer people, or even the older people that play this game may or may not know this, this is a method that I developed. I wouldn't say I developed it, but I would say I kind of took, not necessarily the idea of what I thought of, but the idea of what I've seen other people do too. Because you can access your storage containers in your menu, so what's the point in having them, you know, sitting around? Just make giant towers with them and make them look like radio towers, surround them, put like wires and crap on top, and, you know, like decorate them. Build your base around it and make it like this giant tower. It's like, you know, I don't know, something. Anyways, the point of it is what you do is you set them in an even distribution like that, you know, so you have all 10, 5 to 5, and you just set a solar panel on top. That's simple. And then those solar panels, now you have a cutter switch, so when that's off, solar panels are off too. And that turns on, all of those will turn on. So what you can do is, you could get you, let's say, a power inverter, and you could do the same thing I just showed y'all with lights, but, you know, with other stuff too. You don't necessarily have to do it with lights, but, you know, I'm just showing. Yeah, let's say I connect the light to the right, you connect this to your power point, and then I connect this here. And so it's on. When daytime comes, that's going to be off, because that's just how it's going to be. So when this here gets powered, say, it would turn off the light, allowing those to be on for the day. Now those, you don't want to connect these to your circuit. I wouldn't even suggest connecting these to your batteries. Just have these completely separate from the whole grid, completely separate, and just use a solar panel. There's no reason for them to be on 24/7. There's no reason for them to come on in your proximity. Just have them be on during the day, have them turn off during the night. It's that simple, that easy. You won't have to mess with it. You won't have to wire a crap ton of wires up to it. It makes it really, really easy. But since it's nighttime, you know, we're just gonna go ahead and disconnect that wire, since, you know, solar panel's off, and that's gonna be on. Now, since this here is supposed to be this room, theoretically I could just go boop, and that would be this room's power, and that room would be its own room's power. So, you know, it's all about how you do your power and your numbers. So like when I'm in the proximity, I'm pulling 2. When I leave, I'm pulling, you know, none. It pauses, and that's what you want. If you can have more of your batteries go to neutral state and pause where they no longer tick, like that, then you'll have less lag in your base. Or even if you can reduce the number down below, like, I don't know, the charging rate's fine having high, as long as you have the batteries to sustain it. And if you have a high charging rate, you need to make sure that it charges, well, I wouldn't say too fast or too slow. You want it to charge at a speed that the game can handle. Like, if it's charging too fast, add more batteries to your circuit, and that might help. because it will also decrease the tick time too. You got to think about it. The less batteries you have, the faster your tick's gonna tick down, right? So like if I was to put like 1,000 volts being pulled from that one battery, it would be instantly dead in a matter of like 2.5 seconds. Not even that. But see how it's going down one tick at a time because it's only 2 lines. If I was to have, let's say, a portal, a bunch of other stuff, so on and so forth. So we're gonna go ahead and go to my other base and I will show you all there. Alright, so I'm back. I'm here, guys. What's up? So what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be explaining the whole issue with the lag again, but on this map. So as you can see, this here is decreasing extremely fast. It's only sitting at 12,000 left. It's only got 226. I try to keep this as low as possible. It's okay for it to be in the hundreds. Just try and keep it out of the thousands at a constant use. Like, you don't want a constant 1,000 drag. If you have 1,000 drag, have it where the 1,000 only drags when you're in the zone, and then when you leave the zone, it turns off the 1,000 that's being pulled. So when you leave and you come back, it has time to load all of the numbers up before it actually activates. Does that make sense? If it makes sense to you, then try that. If it don't, and you don't like the way that so-called system worked for you, then don't use it.